Hello and welcome back to my channel of Welshman Reviews, and welcome to Horror Friday episode 3. And seeing as Evil Dead Rise is coming out this week, I thought I would do my rankings for the movies so far. So this will be the first Evil Dead 2 Army of Darkness, and the remake / sequel, the Evil Dead. It came out in 2013. So let's get straight to it with my number 4. So, coming in number 4 is Evil Dead, the 2013 remake / sequel. So this was directed by Freddie Alvarez, who also did Don't Breathe after this. I thought he did Crawl as well, but that might be someone else. It is, but it also does star Jane Levy, Shiloh Fernandez as Mia and David, who are brother and sisters, Jessica Lucas, Elizabeth Blackmore, other characters as well in the movie as well. Doesn't quite break my top 3. Be honest, man, I probably did have this higher in my rankings at one time or another, but I rewatched them all this week, and yeah, I think unfortunately the original 3 do pip this one. Nothing wrong with this movie. I still give it a good 3.5 out of 5. I think the acting's great on here. I do like the story as well, more of the Jane Levy's character, Mia, being a drug addict. That's why they're at the cabin and all that, just to get her through it. It is, yeah, the practical effects, a very gory movie. You like your gory movies. This is probably the goriest out of the lot, apart from maybe part 1. It is, but yeah, nice little ending as well. A few nods to the old movies, some sayings, and you do see Sam Raimi's car making an appearance in this movie, like it does in all his movies, pretty much. And but yeah, practical effects, acting, and all that, and yeah, and the nods to the original movies. Doesn't quite go on par with the older movies, unfortunately. But don't get me wrong, still a brilliant movie and still a great remake. So that's number 4. So at number 3, and it's a bit of a surprise for me, and people, I've said how much I love this movie, but it is Army of Darkness. I probably had this higher up in my rankings as well at one stage or another. It is, but rewatched it all, and it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't age too good, unfortunately. I still enjoy the hell out of this movie. I still find it hilarious. And unfortunately, they do take the horror aspect totally out of this movie, in my opinion. There's a few little scenes maybe, but it goes more into the fantasy comedy elements, more of a horror comedy like Evil Dead 2. But don't get me wrong, Bruce Campbell's brilliant in this. Most of the actors in this are really good. It is a nice little story going back into medieval times. It does, yeah, not CGI, but the effects of the movie don't really hold up brilliant, but it's still a very fun slapstick comedy movie, and it's the first one I watched out of all these series. I remember watching it, the trailers for this on Sky Movies in the early 90s. Yeah, in the 90s and that, just and I couldn't wait to watch it, and I did, and yeah, loved it ever since. And don't get me wrong, like I said, I rewatched them all this week, and it just doesn't stand up compared to the other first 2 movies. But yeah, that is my number 3. So at number 2, we have The Evil Dead. So this is the first one. I kicked it all off from 1981, directed by Sam Raimi, just like the second and third one in these installments. And I absolutely love this movie. I love not amateurish, but you know, his first movie, and I love the way it was shot, the crude practical effects of the people who turn into demon type creatures and that. This is the full-blown horror one, not like Evil Dead 2, which delves a little bit more into the comedy as well. But this is a full-blown horror one, and it's brilliant. The crude special effects on this make this movie what it is, in my opinion. I think if they had better effects, I don't think it would have worked so well for this movie, but the acting for being a kind of like a student production, an amateur production, is really good. Bruce Campbell's Ash is more of a coward in this one, and his best mate who goes with him is more of like the one who's the hero who does stuff when the shit hits the fan. When, as I say, but yeah, it's not the Ash we see in the second and third movie. But like I said, overall the music's really good in this. The direction, Sam Raimi's style of direction, it is. But yeah, I absolutely love this movie, and to me, it's easily a 4 out of 5 movie. Yeah, they could have done a few things different than that and better, but you've got to think how this was made and on the budget it had as well. But yeah, excellent movie and definitely deserving a number 2 spot. So by product of elimination, my favourite in the series is Evil Dead 2, the 1987 sequel to the first movie, which is a bit of a weird one because I think rights-wise and all that, they couldn't use the first movie, so they kind of redid the beginning and that. But you could say it takes place when he gets possessed by the demons towards the beginning of the movie, kicks off as the sequel then, really. It is. But this one has everything the first one had, but done better. It's a better production. It's better acting. You got some better actors. I'm not knocking the last movie's actors, the first one, but I think the acting's a lot better in this one as well. I prefer the story on this one as well. Bruce Campbell knocks it out the park again with this one. This is his best performance as Ash, in my opinion. He's the hero, but you can see him going crazy in one scene, it is, and how scared he is in some others and that, but he does become the hero and that in the movie. Practical effects are brilliant in this. I think not as crude as the last one. I did say in the last one and all everything, but I think the special effects are a bit better in this one, definitely. And the scenes with the hand, chopping off his hand and the hand, are very good comedy, a very brilliant balance of comedy and horror for this. And a lot of people say about a comedy horror, what's your favourite comedy horror? And some people will go to Shaun of the Dead or Tucker and Dale versus Evil. This is by far my favourite comedy horror. People might not think it's that much of a comedy. To me, I do class it as a comedy horror. I laugh out loud in some scenes and all that. And yeah, and back in the day, it probably did scare me a bit. Horror movies don't really scare me much these days anymore. It's a very rare occasion now. But like I said, the acting, the direction, you can see 6 years after the first one, this got released 6 years after the first movie. And yeah, Sam Raimi, a lot better director by this stage and that. And yeah, absolutely brilliant movie. And definitely, it's a rare 5 out of 5 for me. But I absolutely love this movie and I watch it very frequently, a good couple of times a year, and very deserving of my number 1 spot. So that is my rankings. I think it's a fair ranking for what's out there. I think most people probably rank this series like this, maybe change 1 or 2 over. But for me, this series, this franchise, is arguably one of the most best reviewed series out there. You don't get many where it's not a bad movie in the franchise. Yeah, 1 or 2. Everyone has a different opinion, but for me, you can go through Halloween, Friday the 13th, Chucky, Nightmare on Elm Street, the Texas Chainsaw Massacres, all them big franchises and all in the horror genre. They all have very bad movies in them. Evil Dead, to me, doesn't have one. I think it's one of the best reviewed, like I said, reviewed franchises out there. And yeah, definitely one of my favourites I like watching year round. And I definitely can't wait for Evil Dead Rise, which I will bring a review out on Sunday. It is. I'm going to see it now tomorrow on Saturday, and then I'll have my review on Sunday. And then I'll do a quick re-ranking probably at the end and all that, see where that slips in. Because I got a feeling it's not going to be bottom on my list, because I've heard some good things about it. No spoilers, I haven't. but I've heard some good things about it, so definitely can't wait to see it. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below, tell me what you think of the Evil Dead franchise, and what's your rankings of these movies. I like to see different rankings, I like to see and different opinions of why you rank them in these things. Don't just rank them, maybe give me a bit of why you rank them in these positions and that. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. I will see you next time.